This is a members only video. You can actually preview this right now to see what you can expect when you become a member. So I'm going to let you download that and use that. So what actually makes a good interview? Well, there's a number of things that go into this. It starts before you actually get there. The tips I'm going to give you are transferable to those situations. So if you've got an interview coming up, you need to check this out. I'm going to be sharing all this for you to help you ace your next interview. It's a short course. I've kept the most essential information in it, and I'm going to give you a fact sheet which you can download with all the questions which you could possibly be asked. There wasn't a massive response, but that's about 2 minutes. But I answered the question with enough information. I described the situation. I did what the task was. So make sure you watch this entire course and let's get started. Hello and welcome to this course. I'm going to be showing you how you can actually go through an interview and ace it. So I'm going to be showing you insider tips and sharing ideas. I'm going to give you sample questions that they can actually ask you. This is transferable. A lot of the interviews now are happening over phone, over Skype, over Zoom. Face-to-face is not happening as much. However, the tips I'm going to give you are transferable to those situations. So if you've got an interview coming up, you need to check this out. I'm going to be sharing all this for you to help you ace your next interview. It's a short course. I've kept the most essential information in it, and I'm going to give you a fact sheet which you can download with all the questions which you could possibly be asked. So make sure you watch this entire course and let's get started. It's also important in the current day and age to understand the different types of interviews. So remember, we used to go in, have an interview in the actual office. You would go in and you'll sit down, you'll have a meeting. However, now there's different stages of interviews, and it's important to understand each of these. So I'll go through these one by one and give you information about each one and give you more details. So if you're totally new or you have an interview coming up, this would really help you. The first element can be as simple as a phone call. You can actually have a pre-interview interview just by speaking. So they'll actually ask you a few questions to make sure if you're right fit for getting called in for an interview. For employees, it's a big investment for the actual recruiting process. So what you need to do is make sure when they're speaking to you that they want to invest the time in bringing you in for an interview, which takes resource. They have to pull out someone to get ready, get documents ready, spend time with you to go through an interview. So a phone interview is your pre-check to see if you're the right person, and that leads to a face-to-face. So possibly the next stage will be a nice meet and greet face-to-face. That still can happen. There are sectors that can do that. You will more regularly now find video interviews. So I'm going to touch on this topic a lot more in the coming sections, being that you need to stand out and make sure you have nice quality. So you can see here, this would be like a good quality for an interview if I was speaking to someone. Clearly visible, nice audio, overall good appearance. So these are things that we can get you towards, which will be later on. Also, remember, you might have a one-on-one interview, but sometimes if it's a bigger role, part of a committee or a CEO possibly, or loads of EO roles now, aren't there? So a panel, you actually might end up having 10 people sitting there in your interview process because it's an important role throughout the team or the business. So be ready if you have to speak to multiple people, and that is a possibility, a panel interview. In addition to that, there may also actually be group interviews. So if it's a wide arena, for example, call centers or wider offices, they may do interviews in sets of groups. So they'll do reading, writing assessments, and be a groups assessment, for example. We did a lot of those back in the finance days that I worked in, and we had 10 to 15 people come in at a time. They'll go through the certain sections, and one by one we'll have individual face-on-face interviews as well. So we'd actually look at that as an overall and also see how they perform as part of a group, and there's group activities in that as well. So that's a few ways of different interviews that are currently happening. Hopefully that explains the element of different interviews. Let's look next at a few more things. So here's a few top tips to think about. Make sure you know where and when your interview is. Plan your journey and timings. If the session is set for an hour, make sure you've got over an hour in case it runs over and you've got an hour and 15 or hour and 30 minutes available, so you're not rushing to your next event or worrying about it during your interview. Make sure to research the organization. Plan answers to common questions. Make sure to use the resources that I'm going to be supplying you with common questions that could be asked. Have a smart outfit, clean and ready for the day. Whether that's online or face-to-face, it applies. On the day, make sure you bring in your best self forward. Be interested, be charismatic, Don't hide away. Try and use as much of your normal instinct as possible. When you're meeting someone new, that's how you're treating it, just a little bit more professional. So what actually makes a good interview? Well, there's a number of things that go into this. It starts before you actually get there. You need to make sure you're presentable, you're there on time. If it's a Zoom or online one or a phone one, make sure you're already relaxed and you're not like running up the stairs and you've just made it there and you're all huffy puffy. You want to be there a good 15 minutes beforehand, ready for the call. Be sure you know how the plan will be going forward. A lot of the times they send you an email and they say to you, this is an interview, this is some of the agenda, how we're going to walk through it, and etc. You'll get information about that. So also making sure that the interview is set out in a good pace. So you're there, you're ready for the call or voice call or meeting invite. Also check all your microphones and your visuals beforehand to make sure that that's all visible and you can hear it for a test call, for example. Also makes a good interview is some of the things we mentioned in the start of this course. You want to make sure you're covering the few aspects of what you're expecting from the job, what the interviewee will expect from you in terms of answers and questions. Also spend the time to understand that it's an interview for something that you're interested in. So make sure you're bringing your best self forward, and that means you're presentable, you're easy to work with, and you're using the right questions and answers from the interviewee to give that additional information. Do some research about the company. That helps a lot because you're already going to be saying, well, actually, I know your company does this. You've worked with X clients, you're bringing X revenue in, and I want to help to make that better with my skills, etc. Planning for the actual phone call or interview or Zoom meeting. So once you've actually got your email or you've got confirmed that you have an interview, that's where you start doing your extra work. Normally I would do this before that point, but when you've got a fully secured interview, then you know, okay, now it's getting serious. So do some research about the company, the background, the organization, what did they do, what are their recent news in the events, is there anything going on at the moment about them, they're doing any charity events. Also thinking about possible questions that you could ask that you're more interested in certain aspects of the company, and accessible support, like while you're there, is there any training set up for additional things that you want to improve on? So things like you're already good at writing, but you would want to look at maybe looking at when you're in the role additional duties. So is that something that you can learn on the job? Do they have a training team? A lot of big companies will have that, so it's worth you asking and then making sure that the company and the interviewee will know, okay, actually he's actually thinking about the future, so he's already planning to stay with us for a long amount of time, which would be excellent. And also checking the location and the route if you're going there, or the links they're sending you for software. Make sure you download any apps that you need to use. If it's a Zoom, Teams, or if you're doing Amazon, they have their own special software, different types of software you need for interviews. So make sure that's all done. And also consider what you're wearing. Try and be smart regardless of if you're going to be on a video call or a phone call. If you dress smartly, you'll feel smart. So a few days before the interview, what you want to start doing is preparing the questions you're going to ask, as well as potential questions or answers that you would give to their questions. So have 4 or 5 examples of times that you've been really good, times that you've been struggling, or times that you've overcome a big challenge. I'll give you a lot of... Sorry, I'm going to have to pause the video there. This is a members only video. That does mean the full version of this video with the full detailed breakdown is only available when you join my YouTube channel. So there's a subscribe button below. If you're already subscribed, excellent. If you're not, that's the first thing to do. You can actually click the join button, and once you click the join button, that allows you to become a member of my channel. There is a fee as part of this. However, in return, you get extra perks like access to the members only videos. So you'll get the full version of this video and you can actually watch it all to learn something. It's a lot cheaper than having to pay for a Udemy or Skillshare course, which can be a lot more money. So I've made these available to different budgets. So what you need to do is join, and then you'll get access to the playlist of these videos and you can watch the full video there.